Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Amit. Where are you joining us from today? Welcome, everybody. Feel free to type into the chat box where you're joining us from today. Kenya, Rwanda, from Canada, from Uganda, Ethiopia, Nepal, Bangladesh. Wow, can't keep up. Great to see so many of you with us today. Myanmar, Vietnam, someone from England, all the way on the other side of the road, of the world, sorry. Lovely to see so many of you. We'll just wait a little bit longer before we get started for a few more people to join. Feel free to type into the chat box whether you've already taken the IELTS test or whether you're preparing to take the test for your first time. Hello, Sybil. Third time. Planning to take it in July. Excellent. This is a great time to be preparing. First timer, welcome. Peter, you've taken it twice. Hopefully third time will be the lucky one for you. 22nd of June for your exam. And taking again in July. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll get started now. Thank you so much for joining me today for our IELTS Simple Steps to Success lesson. And today we're looking at the listening test of the IELTS test and specifically the form completion task. So let's get started. I have a question for you. Is this how you sometimes feel about IELTS listening? Well, don't worry, because after this lesson, we hope you will feel like this. So hopefully you'll be dancing around your living room because you'll be so much better prepared for your listening test. So let's have a look at what you'll learn in this class. How to identify a form completion task. What to do to answer a form completion task using E2's proven method. How to listen carefully to the audio and follow what the speakers say. And most importantly, how to be confident in your IELTS listening. You can do it. All right, so let's have a quick look at an overview of the IELTS listening test. So there are 6 question types. You may know this: multiple choice, matching, plan, map, or diagram labeling, form, note, table, or flowchart completion, sentence completion, and short answer. Today, we're just looking at the form completion question types. So this is an overview of what it will look like on test day. It will show you the question, so you'll know how many questions you have to answer in this task. It will show you the instructions for the task. You'll, of course, have a form that you have to fill in during the audio. And there will be some prompts. The prompts are the questions that you have to answer. So we've got things like name, mobile number here. And of course, the blanks that you have to fill in the answer to. Now, remember, if you're taking the paper-based IELTS test, you'll write your answers into the blanks. And then at the end of the test, you'll be given some time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. If you're taking the computer test, then you will simply type your answer into the blanks. Okay, so before I show you our method, I just want to let you know that at the moment at E2 Test Prep, we have a brilliant end of financial year sale on. If you're looking for much more practice on different types of IELTS question types, then you can go and sign up now on our website for 20% off our packages. You can use code EOFY20 when you sign up for those. All right, so forms. I have a question for you. Who has filled in a form? Let me know by raising your hand if you have filled in a form recently, maybe in the last couple of months. Let me know by raising your hand if you filled in a form recently. And what information did you have to give on the form? So maybe type 1 or 2 words into the chat box. What information did you have to give on the form? What did it ask you to provide? I recently had to fill in a form for some travel insurance, and I had to give my name, yes, some personal details, my phone number, that's right, that's very common, age and date of birth, yep. Lots of personal details, yes. And of course, that might depend on what type of form you're filling in. Your home address, Nancy, yes, absolutely. Let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. So you might have to give your name, and that will be your first name and your last name. Your address, and that could be your house number, and maybe your street name. It could be another type of number, a phone number maybe, or maybe a price if you're signing up for some kind of service, or a date. An email address, your own personal email address, or a company. And then, of course, the details, depending on what kind of form you're filling in. So it could be, for example, some items that you've lost that you need somebody to send you. Often, at least one question in form completion will ask you for a name or a number. So let's have a look at some tips for listening to these and writing them down. So some tips for names. Names in English start with a capital letter. So make sure when you're writing the names, you use a capital letter. And spell the words correctly. In IELTS, if you spell the word incorrectly, you don't get the mark. So make sure you spell it correctly. What about numbers? When you're listening for a number and writing it down, what are some useful tips? So the numbers could be many different things: a date, a time, a price, a house number, a telephone number, a postcode. Remember that this little digit here can be said as 0 or O. So listen out for both of those. Now, this is a good one. Listen for double. For example, 9774. Do you know how to write this number? Type your answer in the chat box. How would you write the number 9774? Lots of correct answers there. Excellent work. Because, of course, 77 means double the number that comes after it. So 9774. Excellent work, guys. This is great. Remember, double doesn't mean the number that comes before it. It's always the number that comes after. Now, numbers may contain letters too. For example, if it's a date, you might have the 28th. If it's a postcode in the UK and in Canada and maybe in some other countries, postcodes are a mixture of letters and numbers. So, for example, SE45 7ED. And in English, some numbers sound the same, or at least quite similar. For example, do you know the difference between these two numbers? 18, 80. 18, I'm stressing the second part of the word here, or 80. Okay, so let's move on to looking at our method. And the first step here, read the instruction. Very, very important. Always read the instruction, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Find clues and keywords. These are going to be the clues and keywords that help you find the answer. Think of some possible answers. And then listen for keywords. Okay, so that's our 4-step method. Don't worry, I'm going to take you through each one of the steps in turn, and we'll look in detail at exactly what you have to do to follow this method. So let's get started. All right, so first step, read the instruction. So the instruction tells us to complete the form. Now, this is important because, as we saw, there are 6 different question types in IELTS, and you need to know which one you're working on. And then we have this instruction, write one word and or a number in each gap. This is really important because, as you can see, we have all these gaps here. We need to know, what are we allowed to write in that gap? We can only write one word and or a number. So if we write more than that, if we write 2 words, for example, or 2 numbers, then our answer will be incorrect. Our second step is to find the clues and keywords. Okay, so the title of the form is a really good place to start. It says Fitness Club Membership Form. So already we can think about some things that we might expect to see on a fitness club membership form. If you're signing up for a fitness club, what information might you need to give? And then we have the prompts over here, the name. And we can see that we already have one named Sam. So we know we're listening for the surname. We've got the date of birth, and we have the day and the month, 10th of December. So we know we're looking for the year. The type of membership, the cost to join the fitness club. And we have the pound sign here. So we know we're listening out for a number in pounds. And some activities. And we've already got tennis on the form. So we know we're listening for a different activity here. Step 3 is think of some possible answers. Now, we can't really think of a possible answer for the name because it could be anything. But we know that we're listening for a year. And we know because it's a date of birth, it must start with either 19 or 20. So it could be something like 1995 or 2005, 2005. Some different types of memberships, for example, weekly membership, basic membership, premium membership. Can you think of any other types of membership that might be possible? Feel free to type your answer into the chat box. Annual membership, absolutely. Standard, perhaps, quarterly, silver. Oh yeah, silver, gold, bronze. I like that. Nice. We've got some possible costs. Now, we know we're listening for pounds. We can't really guess how much it will be. But remember, it could be a whole number, like £25, or it could be a number with a decimal, £35.50, maybe, £39.95. And then we've got some activities. What kinds of activities might people do in a fitness club? Type your answer in the chat box. What are some activities that we might listen for? Pilates, great. Yes, the gym or cardio, absolutely. Badminton, great. Jogging, yep. Swimming, yep. Fantastic. So I came up with badminton, netball, basketball, yoga. These are all great possible answers. And then step 4 in our method is listen for keywords. Now, in part 1, form completion, there will always be one male speaker and one female speaker. So form completion is very commonly used in part 1. You won't find form completion in some of the later parts in the IELTS test. And part 1 is always a conversation between 2 people, and it's always one male speaker and one female speaker. So this is helpful because one of those people will mainly be asking for information. For example, they'll be asking questions. What's your name? So listen to that person for keywords from the prompts to help you know which question we're on. For example, what's your date of birth? What type of membership do you want? The other person will mainly be giving the information. And of course, in this case, it will be the person signing up for the fitness club. So listen to that person for keywords for the answers. So he might say, my name's Sam. I was born on the 10th of December. All right. Now, before we listen to question 1, I just want to recap our 4 steps here. So what we've done is we've looked at the instructions. So we know what type of task we're doing, and we know how many words we're allowed to write in our answers. We've looked at the keywords, so we know what we're listening for in the conversation. We've thought of some possible answers. So we've really thought about the types of vocabulary and words and phrases that we're going to hear during the audio. And this is all really helpful for helping you to focus your listening and listen for those keywords as we listen to the audio. So let's give it a go. If you're ready, we'll listen to the audio just for question 1. And remember to listen out for these keywords.
Hi, can I help you?
Hello, yes. Is your club taking new members at the moment?
Oh, yes, we're always interested in taking on new members. Just give me a moment and I'll get a membership form. Right, here we are. Let's start with your name.
It's Sam.
And your surname?
It's Peters.
Is that like Peter with an S?
No, it's P-E-A-T-E-R-S. Most people find it difficult to spell.
I see. It has an added A. I guess a lot of people miss that.
All right, lots of people typing their answer in the chat box. Fantastic to see.
Hi, can I?
Let's have a quick look at the script and check for those keywords. So Claire is the person asking the question, and she said, let's start with your name, which is the word we have in our prompt. He says it's Sam, so we know the surname is coming next. And of course, he spells it for us. So P-E-A-T-E-R-S. Well done to everybody who got that right. All right. Get ready to listen for the keywords for question 2.
Now, let me see. Can you tell me when you were born?
Yes, certainly. The 10th of December.
And the year?
1990.
All right, that was a quick one. Great, lots of great answers here. Now, we've told you to listen for the prompts, but sometimes the words in the prompts are not the same as what you hear. So our prompt is date of birth, The question says, can you tell me when you were born? So IELTS likes to use words and phrases that have the same meaning as the prompt, but are different words. He says, yes, the 10th of December, information we already have. Paraphrase, exactly. And the year, 1990. So the year is 1990. All right, get ready to listen for the keywords for question 3.
Okay, good. Now, what kind of package do you need? Are you thinking of an annual membership? For that, you make a single payment for a full year, but the cost works out cheaper overall.
What other kind of memberships do you have?
Well, we have monthly membership where you pay each month. Or there's casual membership. That's when you just pay for the days you go. It works out more per day, of course, so it depends how often you'd be going.
I think I'll be going at least a few times a week.
So annual or monthly membership would be best for you.
Okay. Well, I don't think I can afford to pay for a whole year at once, so I'll go for the other one.
Great.
All right, lots of answers coming in. Let's have a look. So we're listening for the type of membership. She says, what kind of package do you need? Are you thinking of an annual membership? But he says, what other kind of memberships do you have? She says, well, we have monthly or casual membership. So this conversation is going on a little bit. And sometimes in IELTS, you need to listen for a final decision. So keep listening until they finish discussing the topic. She says, so annual or monthly would be best for you. And he says, I don't think I can afford to pay for a whole year, which would be the annual membership. So I'll go for the other one. And as you all said, the other one is the monthly membership. Good job. All right, let's listen for the keywords for question 4.
How much would it be, please?
For your plan, each payment would be £40.
I see. Thanks.
Another short one. Great, lots of answers coming through. So he says, how much would it be? Which of course means he's talking about the cost. She says each payment would be £40. So the answer is the number 40 or the word 40. You can write both of those, either of those. Both of those are correct. Not 14. So remember, numbers in English do sound quite similar, but she said 40. All right, let's listen out for the final keywords for question 5, the activities.
Now, we have several facilities at the club, including a gym, a swimming pool, tennis, badminton, and squash courts. What activities are you planning on doing?
I'm interested in swimming and tennis.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Okay, lots of answers coming in again. This is fantastic, everybody. So she says, what activities are you planning on doing? He says, I'm interested in swimming and tennis. Of course, we already have tennis. So the answer is swimming. Okay, good job, everybody. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to try it on your own this time. Before I do, just a reminder that we have a sale on at the moment, 20% off all of our packages. So if you want lots more practice, hop over to E2 Test Prep and sign up using the code EOFY20. All right, so over to you. This is our new form completion question. What's the first step in our method? Read the instructions, of course. So we know it's a form, And again, our instruction is one word and or a number. It's always really important to read this instruction because it does change. So sometimes the instructions might say, write one word only, and you know you can't write a number. It might say, write two words and or a number. So it's always important to read that instruction so you know exactly what you're allowed to write. What's the second step in our method? Find the clues and keywords. Okay, so type into the chat box, what are some of the keywords that you would be listening out for if you were doing this task in the IELTS test? What keywords would you be underlining or highlighting? Surname? Yeah, great. So we know we're listening for name, and we have the first name here. Blue, yes, that's an important word to listen out for. Phone number, fantastic. The numbers, yep, this is great. This is what I would do. I would be looking at the fact that this is a lost property form. So I know what kind of conversation I'm going to listen to. Name, Jennifer, the phone number we need to listen for, and we need to listen to the items lost. A blue something. And they've told us it's inside a shopping bag. The location is on a something. And the date and the time we already have. All right, what is the third step in our method? Think of possible answers. Okay, now you can't guess the name and you can't guess the phone number, but type in the chat box, what are some possible answers for question 3 and question 4? Wallet, yes, a blue wallet perhaps. Blue jeans, that's an interesting one. We've got a here. So it needs to be one thing, singular. Maybe a hat, a t-shirt, a pen, a bag, perhaps, yes. A phone, perhaps, yes. What about the location? On a what? Where could this item be lost? On a bus? On a train? On a market? Do we say on a market or in a market? I think it would be in a market. On a table, perhaps, yes. On an airplane, that's another interesting one. Do we say a airplane or an airplane? So you can use these little words here to help you with the grammar so you can guess what the answer might be. My guesses are on a seat, on a bus, on a bench, perhaps. And the date and time, we know we're listening for a day and a month because we already have the time here. Okay, so what's the fourth step in our method? Listen for the keywords. So you've already identified the keywords, you've underlined them or you've highlighted them on the computer-based test. You've thought of some possible answers. Now it's time to listen out for those keywords as you listen to the audio. Are you ready? This time I'm going to play the whole audio in one go for you. All right.
Good morning, Lost Property Office. How can I help you?
Oh, hello. My name's Jennifer. I'd like to report some lost property. Is that something I can do over the phone?
Of course, I'll just need to take down some details. Now, you said your name was Jennifer, didn't you?
That's right, Jennifer Lawty.
Do you mind spelling your last name for me?
Sure, it's Loughty.
Thank you. And what's your address, please? If your item is handed in, we can post it to you for a small fee.
Oh, great. It's 4A Bradfield Way, Dunesmith.
Thank you. And what's your phone number?
077 00 900 478.
Great. Now, what exactly have you lost, Jennifer?
Oh, I've lost a scarf. A blue one. I just bought it, actually, so it was still in the shopping bag when I last saw it.
I see. And where did you lose it?
Well, I'd come to Clyde to do some shopping. I'd finished, so I got on a train to go back home to Dunesmith. After I'd been on the train for, I'd say 20 minutes or so, I realised I'd left it on the platform. I got off the train and caught another one heading in the opposite direction so I could go back to get it, but it wasn't there anymore. I'm really hoping someone has handed it in.
And when was this?
Oh, only a few hours ago.
Right. So I'll put down today's date, which is, let's see, August the 13th. And at what time would you say?
Well, I can't recall exactly. I wasn't wearing a watch, but it must have been around 1:15 that I lost it.
Okay. Well, I think I've got everything I need, Jennifer. It doesn't look like it's been handed in yet, unfortunately, but we'll be sure to give you a call if it turns up.
Thank you so much.
All right, I've been watching all the answers coming through, and I have to say, you guys are doing a really good job. Let's have a look. So we were listening out for the name, Jennifer someone. And of course, the man says, you said your name was Jennifer. She says, that's right, Jennifer Lawty. And she spells it for us. Loughty. So there's our first answer. Now, our next question is about the phone number. But just before we get there, notice that the man says, what's your address, please? And we know that on the form, it already says the address, 4A Bradfield Way, Dunesmith. And she gives the address in the audio, 4A Bradfield Way, Dunesmith. Now, you might be thinking, why do I care about that? It's not a question. There is no question in the address note, and that's absolutely true. There is no question, but it's really helpful when you're listening for keywords to keep listening to those notes that don't have a question, because it helps you keep track of the conversation. So if you get lost, you can go back to the form, listen for the keyword, and know which question is coming next, which is the phone number question. So he says, what's your phone number? And she says, 077 00 900 478. So you could write it like this in one long continuous number. You could write it something like this. Maybe because that's the way she said it, you might write it with those spaces in between. It doesn't matter. As long as you write the right numbers in the right order, your answer will be correct. Spaces or no spaces. So our next keyword is the items lost. And again, he gives us that little signal in the audio. Now, what exactly have you lost, Jennifer? So we can keep track of where we are in the conversation. And we're listening for a description, a blue something. And she says, I've lost a scarf, a blue one. Be careful with your spelling. It's a bit of a tricky word to spell, that one. You do need to spell it correctly. And the location. Now, I was watching the chat box during the listening, and lots of people were sending in their answer on a train, on a train, on a train. And this is one of the key things you need to watch out for in IELTS. And I'm going to show you exactly why. So he says, where did you lose it? And then she goes into this big story. I'd come to Clyde to do some shopping. I'd finished, so I got on a train to go back home to Doonsmith. And when you're in the test, you might think, on a train, and write in your answer and think it's finished. But no, you must keep listening in IELTS until they finish talking about the topic. She then says, I realized I'd left it on the platform. So we call these things distractors. Distractors are very common in IELTS. A distractor is an answer that you think it's the right answer. It seems like the right answer, but actually it's the wrong answer. So you must keep listening. She says, I'd left it on the platform. So where did she lose it? The location is on a platform. And finally, the date and time. He says, when was this? And she says, only a few hours ago. So he says, I'll put down today's date, which is August the 13th. So you can write it in any of these ways. You can write August 13th or 13th August. You can just write it with the number. 13 August or August 13. All of those answers would be correct in IELTS. Remember the instruction to write one word and or a number. So in question 5, you can see why. August is one word, 13th is a number. So we have one word and a number. If it said one word only, you wouldn't be able to write the number. Okay, let's have a really quick chat about scoring. So in the listening section, there are 40 questions, and whichever band score you're looking for, these are the scores that you need to get. So if you're going for a band 5, you need about 16 questions out of 40 correct. A band 6, 23 questions correct. A band 7, 30 questions correct. And a band 8, 35 questions correct. Let me know what your goal is. Which band are you going for in IELTS listening? Lots of 8s and 7s. Wow, lots of people going for the high bands here. Fantastic. Well, on today's performance, I would say you're on track. Remember that the IELTS listening test has 4 parts, and form completion is most commonly found in part 1 of the listening test. So part 1 of the listening test is the easiest part of the test. The test gets more difficult as you go from part 1 to part 4. So if you're aiming for those high band scores, you really need to focus on getting a great start in part 1. And that's why using the E2 method is so important, because if you follow the steps that we've looked at today, if you read the instructions carefully, if you look for those keywords and clues in the question, and if you predict some possible answers and listen out for those keywords when you're listening to the conversation, it's going to give you a really good chance of getting 10 out of 10 in part 1 and really setting you up for the rest of the listening test. All right, so a quick recap of what we've looked at today. We've looked at how to identify a form completion task. We've looked at how to use E2's proven 4-step method to answer form completion tasks, and you guys smashed it. We've looked at how to listen carefully and use those prompts and those keywords to follow what the speakers are saying. And hopefully you've discovered a little bit more about how to be confident in your listening test, because you can do it. Okay, so you might be thinking you want some more practice. Just a reminder that you can easily get more practice by signing up to one of our packages, which are on sale at the moment. Use code EOFY20 to buy one of those packages. But you might also be thinking, Andy, I don't know what I need. I don't know which package I should buy. I don't know what I should be focusing my attention on in my IELTS preparation. And so at E2, we have a way that you can get some help and advice to know what would be the best package for you. So you can schedule a free consultation today with one of our E2 experts. They will talk to you about your goals, about what you're hoping to achieve in your IELTS test, about what we can offer you at E2 Test Prep to help you achieve that goal. We're putting the link in the chat, but you can sign up for a free consultation with one of our experts and get some really good advice about what your next steps with E2 should be. Okay, so that's it for today's class, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I've loved seeing all of your answers come through in the chat box. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next class.